Peace, 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 peace. What's good, YouTube family? Thank you for joining me again on my channel. As you can see by the title of this video, we are jumping into the role of Taurus within the United States of America. This is an ongoing series where we're just diving deeper into the United States of America, going through each zodiac sign, going over each asteroid, going over all the planetary bodies as well, putting all this information together and just really kind of getting an overall idea of the lessons that pretty much surround the Taurus energy within the United States of America. So as you can see by this PowerPoint, we have to the side Taurus highlighted. All right, and as you can see, Taurus is highlighted and it's cusping the 5th house. So what is this really speaking of? Well, the 5th house deals with entertainment, it deals with leisure, it deals with romance, it deals with your creative endeavors, the things that you decide to create from your heart space. All right, and then when you have the sign of Taurus governing the 5th house, Taurus is a sign that is a fixed earth energy, and it governs your self-worth, your self-value system. It even governs the land and your environment, your closest environment. So you'll see these themes are basically what we're going to be going deeper into today. And we do have the asteroids with their brief definitions to the side here, which again are going to give us some traits and character abilities to really look at and really keep in mind as we're diving into this energy. And lastly, we'll close out with life lessons to just really get more thorough understanding of what it is we're trying to learn when it comes to this Taurus energy within the United States of America's natal chart. So no longer talking with the intro. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the first asteroid that we have. And the first asteroid we have is Zulong, and it deals with being strong. It deals with having strong bones, physical stamina, and mental strength. So Zulong speaks of, it basically shows you that a lot of Taurus energies have very strong bones, or a lot of stamina, a lot of endurance. These people are really able to endure a lot of things and just really use their strength. They're just naturally strong people, whether that be mentally strong, where they can just endure a lot of things, a lot of stress, or physically strong, where they can still endure a lot of physical stress or physical strain. So that's really going to show you a lot about how strong already this Taurus energy is. Again, Taurus is ruled by the bull, or it's the sign of the bull. So that's kind of a similar connection there. So the next astro we have is Arachne. Arachne deals with craftsmanship, headstrong, intricate details kept in mind. So Arachne here is showing you that a lot of Taurus energies are very crafty, they're very artsy, they have the ability to really utilize a lot of resources and create different things with that. These things could have multiple purposes. They could find a lot of health remedies or just a lot of body hacks. These people are just very keen to detail, and especially when it comes to the physical side of things. So the next asteroid that we have here is going to be Minerva. Minerva rules intuition, being intuitive, body conscious, low body self-esteem. So Minerva is a very analytical type of energy. So it shows you that a lot of these Taurus energies are very intuitive. These people kind of just know how to tap into certain things, and out of nowhere they find themselves like understanding something that they didn't understand before, or just really tapping into like information from their environment almost. It can also make them very aware of what the body needs. You know, they just kind of know what they need to be given to their body, whether this be a food, or whether this be literally exercising a certain way, or literally learning something that could shift the way you're viewing something. They can be very body conscious in this way. It can also manifest though on the more lower end as having a low body self-esteem. So someone who maybe isn't aware of what they need to be eating or doesn't really know what's making their body respond negatively. And in turn, this can make them have low body self-esteem. This can just affect their overall outlook on their body because again, Taurus is a very earthy sign. So the body is very important. It's the main asset when it comes to the Taurus energy. And it views its body as an asset. So it likes to keep it up to par. So whenever it's going through issues and it's not fully aware of how they're doing this, because it could be literally you eating something and not realizing that this is actually harming you because the food tastes so good, or not realizing that you're overworking by working every day when you probably should learn to balance it out a little more because you're actually doing more harm than good. So it's kind of like those type of scenarios you'll find when it comes to this Minerva energy and when it comes to Taurus. So the next asteroid that we have here is Salcia. This speaks of liberation through sexuality, sexual harassed or harasser, animal abuse. So this is talking about liberation through your sexuality. And speaking of, where we're focusing in on the body for sure still here, but it's more so from a place of understanding how to accentuate, how to like exert yourself in a way that is liberating. So it's almost, with this asteroid here, you'll find that a lot of Taurus energies are aware of their body in a way that they know how to create art from their body, or they like to use their bodies as a way of art. And through this, they find liberation. You can also find that this energy can manifest as a Taurus person or sun ascendant or south node being harassed or being the harasser. So you'll find someone who is being repressed when it comes to the way that they choose to express their sexuality or the way that they choose to liberate themselves. You'll find that maybe society or people within their environment try to shun them or even try to take advantage of them and abuse them, harass them sexually. Or you can find that you can be on the end of this spectrum to where you're finding that you shun a lot of people for the way that they express their sexuality, or you end up acting immorally to someone because of their sexuality, like you're harassing them in a sense. So it's a very powerful asteroid and one to really keep in mind and to really look deeper into as well. It can also manifest as animal abuse, if I can say it. So animal abuse here is speaking of you abusing animals, but also the environment. It's almost like you'll find with this energy someone who maybe doesn't know how to fully accept their sexuality to the point to where they abuse other people who accept their sexuality, or they abuse animals, they abuse the planet, because that's almost like the body of the earth, right? The planet, nature. So you'll find these people can abuse nature, but it's all stemming from them not really understanding how to liberate themselves through their sexuality, not knowing how to fully accept themselves. So very powerful asteroid to keep in mind. The next asteroid we have here is Elatus. Elatus speaks of physical strength, mental strength, and ideological rigidity. So Elatus again is shining an aspect on this physical strength that these Taurus energies hold. They hold a lot of physical endurance and just able to really conquer a lot of things with sheer determination. With Elatus though, there's a need to kind of understand this about yourself, because you could get overly, you could not know how strong you are, and this could really manifest as a bad thing, because you could feel like you don't have what it takes, and actually you do, and it's to the point to where you can develop low self-esteem because you are choosing to not really, embrace the fullness of your strength. Or you can be someone who is aware of their strength, and it's to the point to where you don't realize how much you probably intimidate others, or you don't realize how you are hurting people with simple things that you're doing. It is really a need to be aware of your physical strength here and your mental strength as well. with the ideological rigidity, this also speaks of someone who has the power to maintain like a stance on things that they feel are morally correct and sound, or somebody who's just really able to protect the things that they value and that they find worthy. You can also find that this person though can be so caught up or so stubborn even that they don't really allow room for anybody else's opinions, to the point to where that can come off as really intimidating with this energy, because it's like this person has not only the strength to protect what they value, but they also are like not budging. And if you come to them saying something like opposite of what they feel or what they believe in, you may not know what you're gonna get back. You can get some words that really hurt you, or you can literally probably get into a scuffle or a fight with this type of energy here. So there's a need just to really kind of understand your power and your strength, and to kind of be more open-minded and understanding of other people's lack of strength, or just the to put yourself in other people's shoes is going to be a real lesson here when it comes to this asteroid. Let's move on to the next asteroid. This one is a Hawaiian asteroid, and I think you pronounce it Tiheranawako.
Really, nigga?
Hopefully. But this one deals with environmental awareness of time changes, polarized viewpoints, balancing extreme polarization of the mind. Excuse me. So this is showing you that a lot of Taurus energies are very aware of their environment. They are very affected even by a lot of the things that happen in their environment. They're just very sensitive to a lot of the physical elements within the world. This is nature. This is where you're living. This is where you go to school, where you work at. All of these places are big influences on the Taurus energy, and they are very aware of these changes as well. You also find that with this asteroid, you can have very polarizing viewpoints. And this also ties in with the asteroid before here at 9 degrees Elatus. But it just goes a little deeper into it when we get to the 10th degree of Tiheranawako. So it talks about polarized viewpoints, balancing extreme polarization of the mind. So you can have someone who has been fixed, because again, Taurus is this fixed earth energy. They're fixed on a certain idea. They're fixed on a certain system of how they go about operating in the world. And you can find that this could be what makes them really polarized, to the point to where they don't allow other viewpoints, or they don't allow other scenarios to even be an option, to the point to where they even restrict themselves. A huge need to learn how to balance out the masculine and the feminine sides, where we're seeing here, because you can be too polarized in either or, to the point to where you're failing to accept certain things that can make you feel more connected to others, more connected to your environment. Whereas if you have too much of a polarizing viewpoint, you'll find that it's a challenge to connect to your environment correctly, or it's just hard for you to do that, or you'll find that it's hard for you to really connect with other people without coming off intimidating, or just scary even with these two asteroids. People could just feel like, oh, I don't want to talk to them about that, because every time I talk to them about that, they ain't start popping out their neck or something. It's just very intimidating, because you have someone with a very strong demeanor, both physically on the outside, and you can tell mentally that this person has the same amount. So let's go to the next asteroid. We have Aureus. This speaks of lucrative assets and investments, outlawed property and possessions, dark web affiliation. So Aureus is showing you about lucrative assets that a lot of the Taurus energy come into contact with. These people can find that they're able to come across very expensive jewelry and assets and investments and opportunities for them to gain more, comes across them very often with this energy. It's a very wealthy asteroid. It also shows, though, on the more negative end, that this could bring about outlawed property and possession. So things that society deems as being illegal, and things that basically are outlawed and really dark, really dark on the more negative end, because you can find someone who is dealing with things that are on the dark web. This deals with sex trafficking, this deals with illegal guns, this deals with hacking, this deals with a lot of internet crimes and just stealing people's money and really just abusing people. So you really want to be very mindful when it comes to this asteroid, because it can really take you to some dark places because of your love for money or your love for entertainment. Because again, we are in the fifth house, so you can find that you can just be entertained by some things that are very dark or outlawed, and you could be almost in a cycle of wanting to gain these things because of the amount of money that they can give you or the amount of material gains you can get from it, versus any of the more deeper consequences that come with these things, like hurting someone or killing somebody, and the emotional consequences that come with that. You could gloss over those, and those cannot really hold that much weight if you see the price of certain things. So this asteroid is very, again, another powerful one that you want to keep in mind. The next asteroid we have is Barassi, and this speaks of the ability to find the truth through the lie, religious deception, and self-sabotage. This one is a very powerful asteroid. Again, this one is pretty much straight to the point. Wherever you have Barassi is going to speak of religious deception or some type of religious indoctrination. So you'll find off of rip that a lot of Taurus energies have to overcome deception of some type, and this is more so through religion. And it's almost as if they have to kind of find the truth through the lie, and really analyze things and really kind of re-go through a lot of the things that they've learned within their religious organizations and society, and really just kind of re-look at it now. Is maybe with this energy, you can probably realize a lot of these religious deceptive type of ways as you get older. So that's why I say, as you get older, there's a need to kind of come back to the drawing board and just kind of put all the beliefs on the tables, all the values on the table, and kind of decipher like what's what, because there's definitely religious deception there. And the thing about this asteroid is you really are like, there's a lesson around overcoming this deception. Because it's gonna allow you to connect deeper with God by overcoming what was trying to basically disconnect you from it. So a huge need to do that, because by not really finding the lie and continuing down this deceptive path that you've been born into or brought into, whatever the case may be, by you going ahead and figuring out the truth through this, you will really come into a lot of truth that can set you free from a lot of self-sabotaging habits that will continue to spiral out of control the more you're in this deceptive path. Okay, so there's a huge need to really, really make sure that any type of religious organizations or activities that you're involved in, that they have integrity and that the facts are adding up, and that it's ultimately leading you down a path of self-mastery versus self-sabotage. So the next asteroid is Vesta. We have Vesta at 19 degrees, which speaks of priestess energy, priest energy, or mundane activities. So in the mythology, Vesta was a priestess. For a god, this would be a priest. But this speaks of just having a lot of spiritual authority and really kind of being aware of a lot of spiritual prophecies and phenomena, and even being able to guide a lot of other people that can really utilize that priest energy in order for them to connect to their higher powers. So a very powerful asteroid. This one is very sacred asteroid because it just gives you a lot of spiritual abundance. It just makes you very aware of prophecies and visions and downloads, and you will find that you connect with the earth in a very spiritual way that makes you feel at one with God, So it's a very spiritual asteroid. On the more negative end, we have mundane activities. So this also ties in with Barassi, which is at 18 degrees, Vesta's 19, because it shows you that you can utilize all of this spiritual weight and all of this spiritual leverage that you have for mundane activities that don't really serve any type of spiritual means. Really, they kind of just keep you going in a circle. So that's why it's a huge need to make sure that deceptive energies aren't grabbing hold to your light, to your positive energy, right? And utilizing it for their own agendas, their own private agendas, because that's what a lot of energies within the United States of America will seek to do with a lot of this Taurus energy, especially if you have your sun, your ascendant, or your south node around the 18th or 19th degree of Taurus. So that's super specific. But again, Barassi is an asteroid that I find is very, you want to know where that asteroid is, whether it's in your collective chart on the United States of America or whether you put it on your personal chart and look at it personally and where this is showing you where the religious deception could be. Because in the United States of America, I really feel like religion and the government are two of the top systems that influence us. So it's very important that you are joining these religious systems or these governmental systems that have integrity, moral integrity, because if you get across the wrong ones that don't hold integrity, and or maybe it is that they're holding integrity, but it's just not the integrity that you're standing for. So that's why it's a need to really go to the drawing board, make sure that your affiliations and your spiritual contributions are going to the right places, as so that you will not end up abused in the end and basically just self-sabotaging. All right, so the next asteroid we have is going to be Limpo at 20 degrees. Limpo at 20 degrees speaks of fertility, destructive impulses, obsessive romantic tendencies. So Limpo is also like connected to Vesta energy here. These are two like very potent spiritual like energies. Limpo though deals more with like the fertility side of things, more of the like love nature. If you look at the mythology of Limpo, she was a love goddess, so she was able to really harness her love energy. And in mythology though, she was basically the love energy that she was able to give out was so potent that it could help someone or harm them. It was like it was whatever she kind of chose to do with it. So you see she had like a lot of power. She just had a lot of power over people because she not only was able to love people and care for them and nurture them, but she was also able to kind of like drive them crazy and make them obsess over her with her love. So it just shows you here that you have a lot of power here and a lot of spiritual authority. So there's a need for you to make sure that you're directing that energy again in the correct places versus allowing some force outside of you to harness it or to shut your fire down or to just deceive you. Again, it could manifest as destructive impulses, so you can just really be drawn to doing things that are very self-sabotaging just because you can. Also, it could lead to obsessive romantic tendencies, so just really obsessing over people or making people obsess over you for power, for money, for gain. So it does have a negative side too. So you want to make sure that you're staying in balance and you have some type of moral integrity so that you're not abusing your power. The next asteroid we have is Mors Samnus. Okay, and this speaks of being an alchemist, psychological manipulation, and identity crisis. So Mars Samnus is showing you that you have the ability here to transform a lot of situations. With a lot of Taurus energies can really come and neutralize a lot of things with that earth energy. It really can serve as a neutralizer because you have so much power, so much mental strength that it's hard for things to come in and really shake you up like that. It's gonna take a lot, right? So with this, you can use that energy to really be that strong shoulder or that stable force in the face of chaos, with this alchemist energy, somebody who's able to transform dark energies into more light energies. So very powerful asteroid. It can also show psychological manipulation and identity crisis. So it can lead you down this path of not really knowing how to handle all of these energies that are coming at you, and maybe even taking them on as your own to the point to where you're getting caught up in a cycle, and it's putting you in a point of not knowing your identity, not knowing who you are. So again, this is a strong need here for you to have some type of guidance or some type of grounding element in your life, whether that be a higher power, whether that be nature, whether that be a strong team, but some type of grounding element to also make sure that you stay grounded versus manipulated or just going through moments of not being able to identify what's yours and what's the other. So the next asteroid that we have here is going to be Atlantis, right? And Atlantis speaks of prophetic visions, enhanced sensory processing, martyrdom. So Atlantis is, a lot of us may know or have heard of Atlantis. This asteroid, if you know the mythology, is like the lost city that basically had a lot of technical advancements, and it sunk underwater, and that was basically the end of Atlantis, but it was one of the most advanced societies in the mythology. So with this asteroid is showing you that it gives you the ability to really tap into a lot of prophetic places that it's like history, able to kind of tap into history and things that have happened over time, and kind of understand how these things have transformed and how these things have basically been reinvented. It allows you to really tap into a lot of old energies in order to bring it here and to even understand how things are transforming and how they're moving, as well as enhanced sensory processing. So it really allows you to sense a lot of things. You can find that a lot of Taurus energies go to certain places and they're sensing and able to pick up on just subtle energies. So it really gives you a lot of that martyrdom as well, because you can find, if you don't have a healthy understanding of why you're getting these visions, why you're having these prophetic downloads, why you're just so sensitive to certain things at certain times, it can lead you down a path of feeling victimized or just feeling like the martyr, or like feeling like you're always doomed, when a lot of these energies that are coming to you, a lot of these visions are coming to you because you have the ability to alchemize it, to transform it, to utilize it and create something with it, to be the craftsmanship and take pieces from over here and pieces from over there and put them together in order to create something that's of value right now. So very powerful, another powerful asteroid. Let's go to the next one. The next asteroid we have is Pandora, and this speaks of an abundant supply of resources, sensory overload, unexpected consequences. So Pandora, this is going to show you that you have an abundant supply of resources at your disposal. A lot of things to utilize, whether this be material gains, whether this be resources, whether this be nutrition based, or just a lot of resources with Pandora. The mythology was it was a box that wasn't supposed to be open, and it got open, and all these energies flew out, good and bad. So it just kind of shows you that you have an abundant supply, abundant access to a lot of resources. It can also speak of sensory overload, so just not being prepared for what it is that you are embarking on, or what it is that you decided to go into. So a huge need here to make sure that you are prepared, especially spiritually, for a lot of the encounterings that you're going to experience, or the encounterings that you're asking to experience, because you can also, right here with Pandora, ask for things and you're not really be ready for those things like you think you are. You can also speak of unexpected consequences. So you can just find that a lot of the things that you thought you were prepared for, you weren't. And not only were you not prepared for it, but it had consequences that were unexpected. And with Taurus, with Scorpio opposing all of this Taurus energy over here, these consequences can be very transformative and even permanent. So a need for a lot of spiritual, morally sound discernment and judgment, because by not having it, you really can be in for some highly transformative situations. So the next asteroid we have here is Orpheus, and Orpheus speaks of being musically inclined, melodical voice, tone, emotionally overwhelmed due to releasing and channeling past energies, low or high. So with Orpheus, Orpheus speaks of you just being very musically inclined and very sensual, someone who is able to really tap into their environment and express it in a way of art, whether this be through their voice, whether this be through their body language, but be able to really, really get a lot of beautiful tones and melodical instruments like going. It's really a artistic energy that can really make you very musically inclined to understanding a lot about the universe and the way we are connected with the beautiful side of life. This is a very poetic asteroid. On the more negative side, it shows someone who can be emotionally overwhelmed. And this can be due to a lot of the energy that you're picking up, or can be deceased people, or it could be really traumatic moments that happened there, or they you could be emotions could be triggered due to certain things that have just happened in your life. You could be consciously aware of these things or unconsciously aware of them. So there's a need to kind of understand your gift, because if not, it can make you emotionally overwhelmed and not understanding how to to release these emotions in a healthy way. Because with Orpheus, you're someone who can channel certain energies from the past, present, future in a form of art. You can sing these things out in a song that is not only healing for you, but also for other people dealing with that situation. Or you can express yourself through your creativity in any way, whether that be writing, speaking, dancing. But all of these forms can serve as channels to allow you to heal your environment and yourself. So this one is a very strong asteroid as well. So we have a few more asteroids here. Let's start with the next one, which is Laches. I say this one wrong. Lachesis. I think that's how you say it. So it's about intuitive abilities, psychic abilities, and prophetic dreams and visions. This is showing you here that, again, highly aware. This ties in with Orpheus because you're highly aware of spiritual phenomena, very psychic when it comes to understanding past events, or maybe when you sleep and you're getting messages about certain things, or you have daydreams, or you just see certain things from your dreams and your waking life, or you just get messages, or you ask questions and you get messages from bulletin boards, from songs. It's that type of energy here because it's like you are a channel. Even when you open up yourself on a higher octave of this energy, and you are embracing those gifts, the musically talented gifts that you have, you'll find someone who is just able to really tap into almost like the collective conscious emotions and make music or make art that can touch the masses, and touch them on a very intuitive level. It's like those people who create songs and move thousands of people, and thousands of people are able to connect with it on an emotional level, and not only connect with it, but they feel a resonance to the point to where it helps them overcome it, or some of that nature. So it's a very powerful asteroid because of the psychic abilities and the amount of power you have when it comes to your psychic abilities. I think it can even be really overwhelming if you don't have a healthy form of spirituality going for you, because we could be unaware of how to utilize these gifts and what they're even there for. And again, this kind of goes back with the asteroid Barassi at 18 degrees, because if you have a certain religious teaching or deceptive belief system or something that shuns your natural gifts or shuns your natural spiritual abilities, then it's going to be really hard to kind of accept that. It'll be work that you kind of really have to put in order to remove that belief system and start to accept, your new belief system or your natural way of life. So the next astro we have is Cassandra. This talks about revealing secrets to the public, expressing your passions, repressed desires. So this is showing you that a lot of the Taurus energy are put in places to where they are rewarded basically for revealing certain secrets, or they're challenged to speak up against certain injustices that they've experienced or wrongdoing that they know about. Maybe they got it from a dream, or maybe they went through it as a kid, but there's like a challenge here for you to speak up against it, because you can help influence the masses, wake other people up from certain religious deceptive things that are happening in society. It's basically helping others in protecting them from going through some of the same deceptive, manipulative energies that you had to go through. So with this energy, it also talks about expressing your passions. So just also being courageous enough to just express yourself. A lot of Taurus energy have that naturally, to where they are afraid to speak up, and they will express what they desire and their passions on the more positive end. The more negative end can be repressed desires. And I feel like this more so speaks of organization repressing you, or a system repressing you, because again, Taurus energy is very headstrong. It's very hard to literally tell them not to do something and they don't do it. But I think if you can indoctrinate them, so to speak, and give them a system and convince them that this is the way, then I think that's more so the way to really get the bull to be more submissive, so to speak. So the next and last astro we have is Manwe. Manwe speaks of integrity, divine guidance, divine intervention. And this is going to show you that a lot of the Taurus energies have lessons around moral integrity. There's lessons around really maintaining integrity. A lot of the gifts and a lot of the prophecies and a lot of the channels and the artistic ability that you have, a lot of these things were gifted to you, from a higher power, and they're here for you to bless others with them. So you'll find with Manwe, there's a need to make sure that you're having integrity with these gifts, whether that be you overcoming certain spiritual claptraps, or you just simply expressing your passions and your desires in your way unapologetically, so that other people can feel liberated and sound. So that's more of the positive side with Manwe. On the negative side, it can deal with divine guidance, divine intervention. So you can find that you are divinely guided a lot of times, like things just happen to work out for you, and it seems like each time you're connecting more with the higher power. And this can also be divine intervention, to where literally a lot of things have repressed you, or you succumb to your desires, or being entrapped by your senses, which we're gonna get deeper into that as we go into the video. But it can be to the point to where divine intervention has to take place, and you just see that a lot of spiritual phenomena comes around and transforms everything around you, and this can be for the better or the worse. So for sure, a huge need to have spiritual integrity here. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our next and first lesson. All right, so we got life lesson number 1: maintaining faith through adversity. The challenge is learning how to properly heal and nourish the emotional body in order to gain empowerment from conscious or unconscious wounds. Repressed emotions can cause chaotic memories to resurface that can disrupt your inner foundation. Extract information from these emotions in order to help you understand the higher meaning behind the spiritual phenomena you've experienced. Learning the interconnectedness between the physical realm and the spiritual realm will become more evident the more you cultivate a spiritual practice. This will help you to have compassion for the transformation you've experienced. Creating a spiritual sanctuary or retreating into nature can assist you with healing your inner emotional foundation and outer foundation. The psychological truths you gain increase your faith, allowing you to help strengthen the faith of others and demonstrate how to stand firm. Connecting with others who are on the same spiritual journey can be extremely supportive when it comes to helping you remain encouraged and unwavering. You may find that traumatized individuals are inevitably drawn to you as well. They sense you have healed similar wounds and can now help them. There's a need to learn how to detach gracefully in order to do so, as opposed to allowing the intensity of the past memories to entrap you within another vicious cycle. Lower manifestation of this Taurus energy within the USA is excessive grief over the deceased, immoral sexual conduct, gangland crimes, crime-related activities for fun and money, taboo desires, materialism, places material security above self-empowerment. Higher manifestation of this Taurus energy within the USA is ancestor veneration, a vessel for higher energies to be channeled, access to hidden knowledge, spiritual avenger, religious leader, spiritual teacher or guru, luxurious assets, surviving without negotiating the power of your spirit. So this first lesson here, it dives deeper into the asteroids, and it speaks of you having to go through lessons of maintaining faith through adversity. I know this was a lot to take in, but we're going to kind of talk about it a little bit here. So as you can see, there is a lot of the Taurus energy that is learning how to understand a lot of the emotional turmoil that they're facing in life. And a lot of the emotional turmoil that they're going through are highly transformative experiences. I would even say that a lot of the experiences that they are involved with, they'll find that they are a lot of the experiences that they have went through that have transformed them have had to do with the entertainment lifestyle, or trying to be more involved in more leisurely activities. That's where a lot of this energy kind of starts to kind of come up more, because you find that they can want to now experience more of that side of life, more of the entertainment, more of the leisures, more of their comforts, more of their good passions and desires to come forth, that they don't really try to deal with a lot of the more heavier side of the emotions that need to be dealt with. A lot of the Taurus energy has come into this lifetime with a lot of spiritual authority and a lot of grounding energy, knowing how to really help other people neutralize again, even themselves. These people are very strong minded again, and very strong spiritually and physically. A lot of this strength was given, or a lot of this strength that you have was to really help a lot of other people come out of some very habitual cycles, addictive patterns. So there's a need to really understand how to balance play and work, for sure, and to really not be afraid to go inward and do that inner work that's needed before you can go back outside and play. So there's a huge need to make sure that you're consciously doing the spiritual work. A lot of this can happen by you really going inward, and this can happen through you basically going on your own self-discovery journey and really learning a lot about the more spiritual side of life through nature, through psychology, through whatever spiritual means you find. But the most highly recommended one would be a spiritual practice, and just finding a group or organization, or even just creating even your own type of system that allows you to maintain some type of moral integrity. But there's a huge need to make sure that you have some type of backing, because there could be so many distractions and things that want you to come have fun and come relax and be, comforted and indulging, even when there is a need for you to have more integrity and to know when to say no, and to know when to correct something, and when to cut off a toxic cycle or habit. But again, it can be challenging because there's Taurus is already a sign of leisure, and comforts and abundance. So it likes what it likes. And in the sign of the fifth house, you have someone who is more geared towards entertainment, and leisure again is also popping up. So leisure 2 times is being hit here with the fifth house. So it can really drive you away from a lot of that internal Scorpio deep transformations that need to occur. So it is highly recommended that you look into some type of spiritual practice. But within the United States of America, let's be more frank about it, a lot of the spiritual conditioning and practices that we learn come from more religious foundations. So this is tying into the astro we talked about earlier, Barasi, which speaks of religious deception, because there is a need for a lot of Taurus energies to involve themselves in some type of religious organization, because 9 times out of 10 they are the priest, the priestess. They are the pope, the elder, those top people within these religious organizations. A lot of these Taurus energies have the same capacity to help guide people in that same way. So there is an emphasis on you really making sure that you have some type of spiritual backing. But with Barasi, again, you want to make sure that you are doing the inner work so that you can have integrity when you're coming across certain spiritual practices, so that you can know if this is for you or not. Is this really what you need to utilize right now, or are you coming from a wounded place, and it's to the point to where now you have no choice but to call on a higher power, but at the same time, this place of desperation is really attracting towards you some type of religious deception that wants to just feed off of your light, but it sees how weak you are right now, so it's just taking advantage of it. So there's a need for you to really do that inner work and develop these spiritual practices, and to develop this spiritual strength and integrity, so that when you are pursuing certain spiritual practices, when you are helping and guiding other people, you're doing it from a place of strength, and you're doing it from a place that is even going to allow you, is going to make sure that you do not become manipulated within the process. Okay. And so also, processing a lot of these emotions and getting to the root of these issues is going to really help you to gain a lot of faith from this. Understanding a lot of why a lot of these things happened, and why you had to maintain and go through so many burdens and shoulder so many burdens. When you really start to tap into the more spiritual side, you'll understand that a lot of these things were for you to overcome them, yes, but they put you in a place of spiritual authority even. So a lot of these battles and emotional struggles and transformations were to continue to build you up spiritually, so that you all the way to a point to where you start to understand on a physical level why a lot of the spiritual phenomena had to happen. So highly this lesson is a must when it comes to faith, and getting involved in faith building activities that are going to make sure that you continue to maintain faith in a higher power. And emphasis on higher power, because I would even say that a lower power or lower energies are more of those fleshly desires, the senses, what we see, what we smell, what we touch, all of those things, because Taurus is a very physical sign. But there's a need for you to tap more into the higher energies, the higher power. So having more intuitive understanding more of the prophecies and downloads that you receive, really tapping more into that side of life is what's going to help you to build up this faith, and to help you to really understand the spiritual side of life. And this can put you in places to where you become a spiritual teacher, a spiritual guru, someone who just has access to a plethora of hidden knowledge, because of the integrity that you maintain has basically blessed you. And not only has it blessed you with wisdom, but you have this innate understanding of how to bless other people, and how to get downloads about helping other people. Other people can come to you with situations that they don't know how to heal or overcome, and it's like, if you don't know in that moment, you'll get some type of prophecy or download that will give you answers to assist them. So it's that type of energy. It's like God puts you in a place to assist other people. So that's why the spiritual weight is so great. So that's a very deep, again, lesson to learn. But basically that's what the gist of this first lesson is. So let's go ahead and go to the second lesson. So the second lesson is going to be learning to value internal and external resources. There's a need to place more value on your inner and outer resources, as they both must maintain harmony and balance in order to produce more abundant gains that will lead you to overall self-sustainability. Gluttonous tendencies and overindulging the senses can eventually stand in the way of you increasing your wealth and abundance. A need to heal from any subconscious traumas that are causing traumatic occurrences to manifest into your external environment. Going deeper and understanding the emotional currents that need attention will help you to acknowledge different parts of yourself and give love to any repressed emotions that need to be healed. As opposed to staying on the surface where things feel comfortable, and attempting to repress your emotions. If there is a lack of self control over your senses, you could get caught up in unhealthy forms of entertainment and enable addictive habits. The desire to gain power, pleasure, and leisure can consume the mind and overwhelm the body. The more you place value and love on your internal and external resources, the more your inner and outer foundation will balance. These changes will be made evident by the abundance and prosperity that surrounds you. The lower manifestation of this Taurus energy within the USA is a lack mindset, substance abuse, addictive tendencies, self destructive tendencies, emotional outbursts, lost in lusty desires, exploitation of the feminine principle, psychic possession. So, this life lesson here is more so dealing with this opposition to Scorpio here. Lesson number one, I didn't mention it, but I'll mention it now. It was more so dealing with this first square that we had here to the eighth house and dealing with the sign of Leo. So now we're moving more to the opposition when it comes to the second lesson. And this is speaking of Scorpio energy, of transformation, sex, rebirth. So as you can see, this is learning to really value your internal and external resources, learning to not misuse your internal and external resources. Your internal resources are your emotions. It's your foundation. It's your roots. It's the subconscious thoughts that you have. It's the real deal, actually. And your external resources are more so like your environment. It's your the land that you live on. It's the house that you have. It's where you work. It's more of a reflection of what's going on in the internal. So when we come to this lesson, you see someone when it comes to Taurus again, which is this earthy sign, and that's why Scorpio is opposing it because it's a fixed water sign. So you have earth, the outside, right? You have water, which is the inside, the internal. So this is really trying to get you to really balance out how you view the external. You can be really focused on a lot of the physical side of life to the point to where you don't place enough value on the internal. And naturally what this will do is cause an imbalance, but it's an imbalance that can be very painful when it comes to dealing with Scorpio on the opposite end, because the internal is again what we reflect out. And if you are so busy with external things, and again, like we mentioned, gluttonous tendencies and overindulging the senses, really having a lack of self-control over your senses and getting caught up in these unhealthy forms of entertainment, then it can really put a strain on your emotional body. You can neglect a lot of your emotional needs and desires, and this will cause for a lot of transformations to happen and to be manifested into your external environment. And a lot of these transformations again are trying to get you to it's like trying to remind you, like, hey, I'm in here. I need you to look at me too. I need you to deal with me. I need you to process me. I need you to tell me how I need to cope with this, right? It's like the body is aware of external things, what it likes to eat, what it likes to wear, where it likes to go have fun, how it likes to feel when it's sleeping, right? But it's also aware of like emotional disturbances that are keeping the body stressed, or making the body gain extra, or making the body overindulge in activities. So huge need to make sure that you're balancing those inner external needs in making sure that you are placing the same value on a lot of the external things that you have on the same value on these internal things. Because what this is going to do is it's going to make sure that you're not placing value on external things that have no good for you ultimately. Because again, we can be so focused on what we see, what we feel, touch, taste, that we forget that we have emotional needs like love, health, happiness, wealth, abundance mindsets, prosperity mindsets. All those things take cultivation, and a lot of those things come from having a morally sound judgment and having a spiritual compass, or even you really learning to maintain faith in just being very, it's a word I'm looking for, but I can't think of it. But basically, just really being grateful for what you have is very necessary here. So again, these things that you balance out from your external by not getting trapped in the senses, by you checking in with your internal and seeing if this is right for me, if this is making me feel good, this makes me feel bad, this makes me feel healthy. By you checking in like that, it's gonna keep you in check. And checking in even with, I would even equate the internal world as being connected to your higher power, because God lives within us, you know. So I would say that, and it helps you to really balance out these two areas of your life so as to not get overindulged in either or, you know. So, on the higher manifestation of this energy, it can bring you an abundant mindset, applying action in ethical ways, charitable with resources, gainful regarding trading and investment opportunities, emotional strength able to withstand prolonged stress, great capacity to defend oneself and property, skillfully guarding and defending your property and environment from invaders, harmonious relationships with nature. So when you are balancing out both these, learning to value both your internal and external resources is going to produce you more abundant experiences. You're just going to find that you're easily attracting a lot more resources, and it's because the inside of you is happy, is content. Scorpio is a very magnetic energy, so the more you're doing the inner work, that trauma transforms into power and magnetism, and all of these things make that Taurus energy very strong. That's where that emotional strength and physical strength even happens, because a lot of times we forget, but with the internal body, the emotions, that's where the true power is. You can lift weights all day, but if you lack integrity or self-control, or fail to value yourself, or your self-esteem is low, it doesn't really matter how strong you look if you feel weak. If you feel weak, look strong, you're weak.
Bruh.
You know, because that's how you feel. The feelings take over. So there's a huge need to make sure that we're understanding that about ourselves, and to really do the inner work, because that's what really makes us truly strong in the face of anything. So you can come across some traumatic situations, some things that really try to self-sabotage you, but if you have a strong emotional body, you're going to have what it takes to withstand it. It's even like when you hear about those women or those moms who, the stories, they picked up cars behind their babies, or just really didn't gain so much strength behind their, because of their kids, or people when it comes to their families. I know a lot of people, when it comes to their loved ones, they can gain energy from the gods, like, man, they can turn up, but it's because that emotional body is what really is the true power. You know, if you feel you can do it, you can do it. So that's really important here, learning that to value your internal and external resources. This again will create a lot more harmony within your life. It will also help you to really learn how to defend and protect yourself more emotionally and spiritually. And it's going to even help you learn how to protect and help other people who maybe are self-sabotaging themselves, or are just self-harming themselves, or harming other people. It even helps you be there for people who can't stand up for themselves. So very powerful lesson as well, learning to value your internal and external resources. Let's go to the last lesson here. So lesson number 3 speaks of reclaiming your sovereignty. Learning moral integrity when it comes to gaining possessions, assets, and property of all types is crucial. This will help to keep the energies that surround your environment purified and free from attracting manipulative forces who seek to imprison and indoctrinate your wealth. Recalling the past through healthy forms of meditation, prayer, and divination are essential tools for reclaiming your sovereignty. These tools can help you cultivate spiritual practices that serve to liberate your value system, helping you to maintain moral integrity in spite of any negative urges and temptations. Learning to discipline yourself, utilizing spiritual guidelines, will protect your abundance and help you to establish a strong sense of self worth and self value. Challenges will appear through the way you utilize technology and through the group affiliations you associate with. You can become attracted to activities that are considered illicit by mainstream society, and urges to feel amused and entertained can lead you down a path of immoral conduct. A need to make sure you are utilizing your innovative abilities to help revolutionize economic systems within the USA, as opposed to rebelling against the wrong structures that can potentially assist you with achieving success. Learning how to move at a gradual pace when it comes to creating financial foundation will help guard you against self-sabotaging behaviors that forsake your core values. A true sense of enlightenment can only develop by upholding moral integrity. Lower manifestation of this energy is repressed core values, lack of direction, denying the physical body adequate nutrition, gaslighting by religious teachers, destructive inventions, dark web affiliations. So, lesson number 3, reclaiming your sovereignty is overall the top lesson here, because we see that there's a need for you to step back into what's been yours. I put reclaiming your sovereignty because there's a sense of it being taken or someone else claiming it and giving you a false narrative to follow. So when it comes to this Taurus energy, the reason for a lot of that emotional strength and emotional turmoil that you're overcoming is because there's a need for you to reclaim your birthright, reclaim what's yours, reclaim your sovereignty. This last life lesson is dealing with this square over here to Aquarius in the second house of your resources. So this does speak of you being denied certain things, or just really being stuck in certain cycles that seem to really entrap your abundance. It's like kind of being your own worst enemy when it comes to this reclaiming your sovereignty. This lesson is calling for you to learn again the more spiritual side of life, but it's more on a way of it's more in a way of recalling the past. So we put here recalling the past through healthy forms of meditation, prayer, and divination are essential tools for reclaiming your sovereignty. So there's a lot of needing to understand how to kind of go into things alone, and not in a sense like alone by yourself, but when you're reclaiming your sovereignty in religious organizations is more of like a hierarchy, and it's people above certain people and above these people. So when it comes to Taurus and you're reclaiming your sovereignty, I'm trying to figure out how to really word it correctly. I wouldn't say that you are above people, but I would say that you have gifts, like specific gifts to you, for you. Everybody may not be able to see prophecies. Everybody may not be able to dream dreams like you dream. Everybody may not hear God the way you hear him. Everybody may not be qualified to do that. To really help this person heal this trauma, help this person exile a demon or something. It's that type of energy that we're dealing with here. So there's a need for you to really learn how to cultivate this sovereignty again through healthy forms of meditating, really sitting with yourself, really understanding why things are the way they are. Taurus is again a physical sign that deals a lot with nature. So getting out in nature and understanding the interconnectedness between nature, your environment, and how these things work and how this is connected are all vital tools that are going to kind of give you more of an inkling of who you are. Praying to God, figuring out how to connect more with God, figuring out how to really connect and communicate with God in more than one way. Because I would say meditation, prayer, and divination are all different forms of communicating with Source, with God. So using these different tools and almost piecing yourself back together in a sense from it, spiritually that is, it's also given us a lot of understanding of the physical body, because with Taurus, it's like there's a lot of liberation in self gratification that comes from the physical body. And a lot of spiritual concepts, a lot of spiritual lessons that you go through can take time. You know, they can really take time. So there's a need for Taurus energy to really learn how to go through these transformations and keep the faith and maintain integrity and value themselves, because over time they'll come into this strong sense of self-worth, this strong sense of self-value that literally is unshakable, and it doesn't allow for the senses, the lower fleshly beastly desires to take over your spiritual nature, your sovereignty. You know, it's almost like the ego taking over the subconscious mind, you know. But there's a need for you to kind of put things back in place. And it's even saying like you have the power to put it back in place, but it's like you may not desire to do that because of how it feels to you or because of how things look, you know. But sometimes the transformation isn't always pretty, you know, and it's painful at times, and it can tear us apart and put us in places where we don't really want to be. But again, that's how we go about reclaiming our sovereignty with this lesson, because through all those experiences, you're going to gain a lot of self-worth, a lot of self-value. You're going to learn how to build your foundation that fits for you in order for it to continue to grow. With this also comes a lot of being tested by a lot of corporations, a lot of organizations, a lot of it's like you almost find that you attract exactly what you don't need, you know, because dealing with the fifth house and it's squaring the second house. So things can come to you that are truly trying to test your senses, you know, truly trying to see if you would be willing to kill this person for this amount of money, truly trying to see if you would be willing to traffic a child for this amount of money, truly ready to see if you would be willing to buy these guns from the dark web just to get a good deal. It's very testing, trying situations like that you'll come across, and they're calling for you to have a lot of integrity in these moments, because you're in a situation where you can bring a lot of right to that situation. And for the example, we're speaking of like the dark web and the things that go on the dark web. That's child trafficking, drugs, all of these darker things. But see, a Taurus would probably attract the situation. A lot of Taurus energies attract these situations where they come into this hidden knowledge about these things that a lot of the collective doesn't know about. And again, this can come through your dreams, prayer, word of mouth. But it's like you guys have this way of just getting this hidden information. And with these things coming towards you, it's like you're challenged at that point to engage in this for material gains, like materialistically, or do you have integrity and not only shut it down, but try to help that situation reach some type of purity or reach some type of justice in a way, some type of spiritual justice, bringing some type of spiritual justice to that situation, because that would be why you're in that situation on the higher degree. If you were to come across all of this dark web gangland affiliation, who's to say you're not put in that situation to blow the spot, you know, to call it out for what it is, you know, because it's something that is really raping the abundance of society, you know. As a Taurus, you're a protector of the earth's wealth, of your own wealth, of your own abundance, you know. So you are definitely here to help a lot of other people learn how to also protect their wealth and how to also protect the earth's wealth. That's nature. That's the environment we live in. All of these things are things that we are going to help in that journey of reclaiming your sovereignty. Okay, so the higher manifestation is a healthy moral compass, committing to a spiritual system or mentor that holds you accountable, successfully integrating tough karmic cycles, creatively displaying the power of your voice, body, and innate psychic abilities, drive to achieve success. So basically, it will just really manifest on the higher octave as you really having a healthy moral compass, really understanding how to commit to a system that can really enhance your self-worth and self-value system to the point you can help other people use the same system in order to do the same thing. And you'll find that you attract a lot of these people that are your soul tribe that are looking from this for you. They're kind of looking for it from you, which is strange, but at the same time, that's the power, that's the gift, at the same time. So yeah, that's basically the gist of the life lessons, and it will really, again, with this one, just give you the drive to be indestructible, undefeated. It's like the bull. Once you get going, it may take you a while to really get your pace and to figure out your footing. But once you get going, there's nothing that can literally take you off your tracks. You're gonna be just so focused, stubbornly determined to succeed. So that's basically Taurus and the life lessons, the asteroid, the planets. This is a very thorough, long video. If you follow me all the way to the end, I'm grateful to have you. We will be going deeper into Gemini, going next. And basically this is Taurus. If you find that any of these resonate, or you just kind of need some assistance with any of these energies that I mentioned, any of the asteroids, you want to look deeper into them, you want to know where they are in your chart, you want to know how this energy is playing out, or you want to really just learn how to take more care of your mental health and understand how to associate yourself better when it comes to the groups and when it comes to maintaining your wealth, hit me up. I have my link in the description box below. You can go to my website, fill out the form, and I'm gonna hook you up. All right, without further ado, peace.